It's actually not advantageous at all for women to choose to live with men in romantic partnerships. The fact that we still do it indicates to me that there's not a lot that Jordan really needs to be concerned about. This is just about maintaining men's primacy and maintaining men's position at the top of the pile. It seems more that what is concerning him is that men no longer have power over women.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop fucking lying.
Guys, y'all looking at the thumbnail, y'all looking at the title of the video, y'all already know what time it is. It is time to get active. Guys, got a very special video for you here today. Found a video of a super feminist going off on the logic of the great Jordan B. Peterson. I think it'd be very important to get down in there and to break down this conversation and dialogue. Without further ado.
Do you believe that the patriarchy exists?
Obviously, yes, I do. I do believe that the patriarchy exists, and more to the point, I accept the reality of the patriarchy. For me, it's not an issue of belief or not, it's understanding that it's real.
And do you think that the patriarchy is oppressive?
Absolutely, oppressive to everybody. More superficially beneficial than not to men, but still acts in a way that oppresses them.
I don't know if you've thought about this, though. How can the patriarchy be oppressive to women when it was a man who invented the tampon?
Well, you've undone my entire worldview now.
I read it.
I feel the logic.
It's interesting. I mean, firstly, it assumes that women or people who bled prior to the invention of the tampon had absolutely no way of dealing with their menstrual cycles.
What?
And of course, we have all of human history to disprove that theory, and the fact that we're still standing here today.
Well, I guess what I'm saying
Holy
is that
shit. Hold on.
you know.
Excuse my language. Here's the thing, guys, is we started off in a place where she says it's not only oppressive to women. Well, we start off in a place where she says the patriarchy still currently exists, which we all know is a bunch of bullshit. Second thing is that she said that it's oppressive to men as well as women. Okay, so she's a super Saiyan feminist. Okay, she's on the far end of the Richter scale. But anyway, to discredit the evolution of feminine hygiene products because it doesn't fit your narrative of patriarchy is the exact lack of logic that Jordan has been dismantling y'all with for the past 5 to 6 years. If you go to an actual patriarchy, one of which the men by force suppress or subjugate the women of that land, go over there and see how much many of those men are fighting to create products to help women.
A man invented the tampon, a man invented the pad, a man invented the birth control pill. And these are all things that only really, well, not birth control pill, but the other two, only really help women. So those are men trying to help women. You know, how are they also part of the oppressing of women if they're helping them?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Well, the thing is that not every single man is an active, conscious agent of the patriarchy. Of course, we know that there are many men out there who support the rights of women and bleeding people in their lives to achieve freedom and dignity and movement throughout the world. So it doesn't surprise me that there would be some men who have women in their lives who would be invested in making those lives easier for women. But I just want to go back to this point that actually people who bleed have been managing their menstrual cycles since the dawn of humanity.
Why are you going back to that stupid point?
It's not so much that a man invented the sanitary pad or invented the tampon. It's that men historically have had access to spaces and to education and to industry that allows them to create certain versions of things that have already been used for thousands and thousands of years.
What?
Women have invented things too, you know.
Like,
Like, see, the thing is, you know, she moved the pylon so incredibly far on, on that goddamn argument. You know what? It's not even just like moving the pylon. What she did was effectively the biggest straw man ever. Again, how are you discrediting the betterment of a product that was created by a man? They took a look at the products that were being used at that time and said, you know, this is not the best that we can do from a technology perspective. And how can we expect equality or to allow women to go into the workplaces as much and as often as men when they have to deal with this thing that happens to them, which could impede their progress out and about or, you know, in the workplace in general. So instead of acknowledging that it was a great contribution, you were downplaying it as to say, well, women have dealt with it for thousands of years before that, so it was good enough. It's an absolutely preposterous argument. But see, the thing is like the damage of just labeling things because of the patriarchy does far more harm than good. Because of this rhetoric, you have now men walking around emasculated because they're so scared to flex components of their masculinity that thereby makes them more happy, more accomplished, more feeling righteous within themselves because it doesn't adhere to your particular created standard for how a man is supposed to act. It's really damaging to run around with this patriarchy word. Let's keep going.
Like the internet.
the problem is, though,
Like the internet.
is that if we all accept that there is an oppressive patriarchy, then we are now telling young men that you are a beneficiary of this patriarchy and it's making them feel bad. And it's, you know, and they're not feeling good and they don't want to go to university. And this is a real issue
part of my point.
Because, you know, we need men to be
She's laughing at
leading
that.
the way.
Do we?
Apparently, yes. Yes, because if the numbers of men in social sciences decreases, as they're decreasing every year, not in STEM subjects, but social sciences, then they're no longer going to be going to the top of these industries. And then in that case, where are women going to find people to marry and mate with? Because women want to mate up, men mate across and down. So if we don't have these men staying at the top, how are the women going to mate up?
Well, I think maybe one of the problems that is challenging men like Jordan B. Peterson and his acolytes these days is not so much who women are going to marry up with or mate up with, but that more and more women are choosing not to marry and not to mate at all because they realise that these situations and these structures for them are actually not all that liberating. Not currently in the world that we live in, where when women do marry, they end up doing the bulk of the domestic workload. They end up doing significant hours of unpaid work. If children enter the picture, then women's workload astronomically increases while men's workload decreases. It's actually not advantageous at all for women to choose to live with men in romantic partnerships. The fact that we still do it indicates to me that there's not a lot that Jordan really needs to be concerned about. This is just about maintaining men's primacy and maintaining men's position at the top of the pile. It seems more that what is concerning him is that men no longer have power over women.
So you...
Whoa, okay. Jesus. I take it back, guys. I said Super Saiyan feminist before. She's Ultra Instinct feminist. She is the final boss of feminists. Holy shit. That is one of the most damaging concoction of words that I've heard that can be placed into the mindset of women ever. Okay? Now, let's just break down what just happened. This young lady over here, let me set the context for this as well. I think the young lady on the left is actually like trying to play a character, right? I think what she's doing is she's saying, I've read some of Jordan Peterson's books. I watched some of his YouTube, this, that, and the third. So I'm going to debate you with some of his logic and some of his talking points. That's why she has that book in front of him. And I believe it's Jordan Peterson's book. So she's looking down into the book in order to get some talking points. I guess that's what's happening. So the reason why I call that out is because she completely messed up what she was trying to say. What she was saying is that we want men in social sciences because they need to be there, because how could women date up? Right. And the thing is like when Jordan Peterson talks about the dominance hierarchy, it's not just within social sciences. If a woman is, in social science and the man is in STEM and he's, making a lot more money, this, that, and the third, that's still on the lines of dating up. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter like where it is that they go into. So she kind of messed that up. However, the nuke that was dropped after that from the Femi was a very interesting one. First, she started off and talking about Jordan Peterson acolytes. Okay, acolytes, that's not a good word to call people that follow someone else. It's just like a lemming. Okay, when I think of acolytes, if y'all remember the video game Lemmings back into the day, you just follow it like no thought within it, okay? But what she essentially was saying is that Jordan Peterson has an issue that more women are choosing not to marry, but then she goes on and joins that with the reason why they are choosing not to marry. The first ridiculous thing that she mentioned, I believe, was that there's unpaid labor. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, what type of marriage do you get paid for doing your duty and responsibilities within the marriage? So think of this logic. In her feminism world, the man would not only have to get on bed to knee, but to pay her within the marriage. And then if she decides to up and leave, then still give half his shit. Like, that's truly mind-boggling. But then she then doubles down and says that there's absolutely no reason that a woman should live with a man at all. And then says that, well, it's Jordan just wanting to continue to have power for men in society. Listen, if you guys can't see through the pure and utter bullshit right now and understand that she not only hates men, but sees no value within them within a particular society, then you are absolutely bugging. But let's keep going.
So you would say, you would disagree with this quote then. I've watched women go through their professional careers. It's a rare woman who at the age of 30 doesn't consider having a child her primary desire. And the ones that don't, there's generally something not quite right in the way that they're constituted or looking at the world.
That sounds to
I'm
me
not putting
like
those in.
quack psychology that is better placed in the 19th century than in the 21st century, and certainly not the kind of science that should be asserted based on a handful of observations.
Well, he says there are plenty who will just simply not admit to having this as their primary desire.
Oh, that's
Yes.
interesting. So
That's
he's
very true.
claiming to be a mind reader.
Yes.
Also a form of quack science.
Wow, she's disrespectful.
That certainly has not been proven to have any sort of basis in reality. I mean, it is.
I've actually mentioned this point on the channel before. The idea that, thank God for the internet today, because I think it's waking a lot of people up. Because now women have the opportunity to wake up from the matrix that they're in. Because just like there's a lot of dudes that's still in the matrix and the blue pill shit, there's a lot of women that's in this matrix as well. Right? But they have the opportunity before they hit 30, 35, or 40 to understand what success or true value in their life is. It's not to say that having a career is not that, but I tell you what, there's nothing more heart-wrenching than to be of a certain age and wanting your own children, but you didn't do the things in your life in order to be able to achieve that. And this ideology right here will keep more women away from true and utter happiness within their life. Let's keep going.
It's convenient, I'm sure, for Jordan B. Peterson to decide that he knows better than the women he's speaking to what they truly feel. But it's certainly not a revolutionary position for a man to take. It's certainly not something that men throughout history have not been guilty of doing.
Oh, God.
As a woman, I certainly know that I belong to a class of people.
She's a
whose
shamer.
Desires and ideas and mentality about the world are consistently disclaimed by men around me. That my actual mentality or my actual emotions about things I'm not thought to be in control of them, that I need a man to define those experiences for me. And Jordan B. Peterson clearly feels able to do that, despite the fact that I'm not really sure he knows all that many women based on what he said.
He says that people say
Whoa.
there aren't enough women in top jobs, in leadership positions. And he says that's the wrong question. That's the wrong question to be asking. We should be asking, why would anyone, mostly men, want these jobs at all? Because they're not good jobs. They're stressful, and you work overtime, and, well, you get paid well. But while women leave law firms at around the age of 30, when they're all wanting kids, it's
Yeah.
actually they're smarter because they're doing that, because they know that this is not a good job to be in. So really,
Yeah. Not for a
women are
family.
better off because they're the ones who are smart enough to know to leave these high-paying but very stressful jobs, and it's
Yeah.
men who are dumb and decide to stay in them.
It sounds like a convenient way to excuse men continuing to stay in the top echelons of society. I mean, I'd be interested to know. He's written a book called 12 Rules for Life, in which he argues that it's actually not very smart to want to vie for these top positions. I know he certainly has an enormous following of young white men around the world. I'd be interested to know if in their reading of this book and their embrace of his philosophies, if they've also decided to stop vying for the top positions in the top industries, or if they consider that to be not quite part of the 12 rules, but a rule of which they can use to excuse or to dismiss the fact that they have privilege in those positions. Oh, well, of course, I am a partner in a law firm, but, it's not a very smart thing to be. I tell you what, it is so.
Wow. Guys, right. Do you know how difficult it is to be a partner at a law firm? Do you know how many hours in the gym that you need to put in? Right. All of the politics, the stress, the sleepless nights, the deals, the sales. That's why they get paid like that, because to be top 1% of the 1%, you have to be not only genetically, intellectually gifted, but have to have a work ethic that is out of this world for years. 4 years. That lifestyle is not conducive for families. And here's the thing, as she was saying that, I was thinking to myself, yeah, I have. I mean, I had the corporate job, and I identified, I don't think that I want to do it that way. For me to go up in this and to be executive, and I see what it was. And I decided to go a different route. But that required me to take a look at my own life. See, what is it that I actually want to do with my time? What is going to make me the most happy within my life? And that route and that trajectory that I was on wasn't going to allow me to do that. So while she tries to discredit that rule in the 12 rules of life, I'm here to tell you that for both men and women, it's extremely important. There's so many men as well as women that their family told them to be doctors, and now they are doctors hating their lives every day because they never wanted to do it. You have to create your life for you and not anybody else. It's incumbent on you to be a partner in a law firm and to be a woman 30 years old. And if you want a family, if you understand that one of the fundamental things that makes you happy in your life is family, to have children, to have a loving husband, a loving man, then you have to make some concessions for that. But you can't have it all. In the rare cases that you do, those are extraordinary, exemplary workhorses type of people. But that's just not the lifestyle that most people want. You got one experience on this rock traveling 1,000 miles per hour around the sun. Okay, you get one experience to do it.
Certainly very smart to, in the kind of world that we live in, to be able to control your own economic future. And it is not smart as a woman, as he seems to claim. It is not the smartest thing to remove yourself from industry and to remove yourself from economic independence and rely on a man to take care of you. The divorce rates alone show that to be the case.
That's not what he's saying.
The fact that women consistently retire with far less retirement funds than men do show that to be the case. And, in Australia, where I'm from, the fastest growing group of homeless people in the country are women over the age of 65. So it doesn't seem to me to be all that smart, actually, to put ourselves in positions where we are reliant on anyone else, but least of all, a man, to take care of us.
So you're saying there's more to these rules than just the one sentence?
I'm saying that I think life is a little bit more complicated than Jordan B. Peterson has decided he's going to profit out of pretending.
Oh, she's a hater. So it came back down to the profit shit, as if his brilliant idea shouldn't be compensated in any particular way. The amount of shaming, and low-key passive-aggressive insults that she was doing throughout this conversation, right? Like, grow up. That's the first thing I would say to that feminist. She got schooled by Jordan Peterson and he didn't even have to be there. That is how ridiculous the basis of some of these arguments are. To posit that there is no benefit with living with a man in 2021, even in 2021, in a first world society is absolutely fundamentally insane. But I feel as though I'm preaching to the choir. Questions, comments, concerns? Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. Not gonna lie, I had like 15 more points that I wanted to rattle off, but I feel like this video is getting way too long. Y'all agree with me? Do y'all not? Leave it down in the comment box down below. Leave your timestamps down in there so I know what it is that you're talking about. All right? Until next time, YouTube. Peace!